When I look at my life today, it's different from all my friends pretty much. I'll reading my classmates, my batchmates from IIM, etc. Most of them are big CEOs, either CEOs of big corporates or running their own successful businesses, etc. Compared to a lot of them, I probably have, my net worth is probably not as much. But that's a very conscious decision. That's a very conscious decision because being able to stay here, as I told you some time back, I feel it's a privilege. That financially comfortable. I'm not buying, $5 million houses in Gurgaon right now. That's not something that appeals to me. For me, being able to live here comfortably, have enough for ourselves, and being able to have your dogs and cars and normal holidays, international holidays, etc. I think that's what for me is enough. So I wanted something which was away, very remote, and which had forests all around. I looked all over, but when I finally explored this area and I saw this piece of land, it kind of really connected with me because even though we're not very high, we're at 4,300 feet. It is mountain living. It is a pahadi life only. It's at least 5 degrees cooler through the year than down below. Like where most of Corbett is. So we don't need ACs, nothing, all that. It's nice weather, and it's completely undisturbed and surrounded by forests. So we have a huge amount of wildlife. So I wouldn't have a complete, very accurate picture of how much I would have spent totally because we did it over a period of time. If I talk about the infrastructure in terms of road or water tank, solar panels, and then of course your different cottages construction, the range would be I think between 1.5 to 2 crores kind of. The thought was always that whatever we do should blend in with here. When we bought the place, can we cut? Crazy alarm calls happening. This coo you're hearing, na? Those are spotted deer alarm calls, not very far off. That's like a tiger trying to hunt them. For me, it was like I couldn't continue because there is so much sound coming. Sorry. Every other day we spot some wildlife while on our walk. Sometimes it could be something small. Sometimes it could be as big as an elephant. We have camera traps just around the property to monitor wildlife that comes around. So big ritual is every day, checking out the cameras to see what's come, what's not come. So has our tigress come, and we kind of almost estimate, okay, she came last 3 days ago. It's about time for her to come back now. So again, you feel more in sync. Kind of you get more of where you are. Again, just the place, reforesting the area, reforesting the place, keep it. So essentially, building additional forest, additional green cover. I haven't measured it, but I think we would be close to carbon neutral. As a place with the trees and the solar and etc. All that. So my childhood was actually a very fairly normal childhood. I grew up in Calcutta, so very urban environment, very different from where I stay right now. From the time I was a really small kid, really I loved animals and wildlife and all that. Yeah, so I after Calcutta, I finished my schooling and then moved to Delhi for my undergrad, which was in St. Stephen's. So I did economics from St. Stephen's. Again, I mean, of course, not that I studied a huge amount, but then after that, straight out of St. Stephen's, I went to IIM Calcutta. So after IIM Calcutta, I went into banking. So joined Standard Chartered Bank, I think, and this was what the year 2000. Then I moved to ABN AMRO Bank, which was in Mumbai. Post that, I went to Dubai with HSBC. In terms of compensation, I think I would have made around. I would have been making about a crore kind of a thing at that time, and this was in 2009. So in 2009, I came back to India. That's when I kind of stopped traveling to multiple locations every few years, all that, and I kind of settled. And we started this healthcare startup. We knew very little about healthcare services, but had an idea about something that could disrupt the market. And so we launched something which was very grandly called Indian Health Organization. 2011, we essentially said to expand, let's look for some funding. What ended up happening is we ended up getting acquired by this company called Aetna. which was at that time the second largest health insurance company in the world, a Fortune 50 company. But then, we had an agreement with them to grow the company for the next 4 years. So we got some amount of money upfront, and the rest was based on how we perform over the next few years. So essentially, the company at that time was valued at about 100 crores. In fact, if I look back at those years, those were the years where I had, to a certain extent, a lower or a not as strong a connection with nature, wildlife, etc. And that's because I was very busy with my career, focused on doing well and wanting to do well. Wanting to do well was a driving force. Though I think in the latter part of my career, I was already questioning that. I mean, what's the greater point of making this deck or whatever? What impact am I really making? I think a turning point for me happened, when I moved back to India, to Delhi. There, when I started a startup, I think a couple of things happened. One is I met a couple of people who, really knew Corbett, for example, well, and really loved wildlife. And through them, my passion and love for wildlife and nature got reignited, or again, it became more. And at the same time, because it was a startup, I would find the flexibility that, okay, come, let's suddenly go Saturday, Sunday to, or whatever, tomorrow just to Corbett for a couple of days, etc. I think what happened is that I really started falling in love with Corbett, and I said that, okay, the day I have the financial resources to buy something, I will probably buy something around Corbett. And that's kind of what pretty much what happened. That 2011, when Etna acquired us, initially we got some amount of money up front. So the first thing I did over the next 2.5 months is every weekend, 5 days a week, CEO, and then Saturday, Sunday I was here looking for land all across the place, and I kind of bought the place. So this is actually, if you've seen the place, it's really cut off. So we are part of a village. Our village is actually called Bhatoli. But from our property, you can't even see the village because we are kind of cut off from it. So even before we got it, before I came here, our property had always been known locally as Tanhau or Tanola, coming basically from the word Tanai, which is basically because it was so lonely and cut off. So somehow we like the name Tanhau. So just I think overall in speaking with each other from Tanhau, it became Tanhau, but that's pretty much the origin of the name. Honestly, what I am happiest about today is that when we came in here, this whole land, everything that you see here, everything was chopped. It was completely barren, like a lot of the land you see around, dry piece of land. And over the years, we kept planting trees. First year we would have planted 500, 700 trees. First few years, every year like that. And even now, every year, monsoon, we say, okay, this patch, there's space, let's plant some trees. So must have planted about, I think, close to 3,000 trees. I mean, of course, a lot of them get eaten, die, etc. But planted all that, and today the amount of bird life, the amount of wildlife around is a lot more than when we came in, and that I think is a big thing. When we started Tanhau, even as a homestay, expectations were very low. The optimistic case was that, yeah, if it kind of on an average across the year takes care of the running costs, the operational costs of every month, that's good. Over a period of time, I think pleasantly surprised. I think like every business, these things, it also would have taken a year and a half or 2 years to pick up in terms of occupancy, etc. But now we run at a level where on any given month, it's operationally self-sustaining for sure. And there are a decent number of months where we have, I think we would be making anywhere between a couple of lakhs to 4-5 lakhs profit maybe. But those are, of course, 4-5 lakhs is like peak months like December or something. Financial planning, etc., wasn't always my strongest point, But I actually, I'll give credit to someone who was a relationship manager for me with Kotak Mahindra Bank, and he started off as a relationship manager. Now, of course, over the years, he's also become very senior. So he used to make sure that I have enough investments which are locked in for years, 5 years. His exact words to me were, आपके अकाउंट में पैसा रहेगा तो आप जाके एक और पहाड़ में जमीन खरीद लोगे. मेरे को पता है कि आप कैसे हो, kind of thing. But that really helped. irrespective, and that depends really on your risk profile and how much risk you're willing to take in terms of, equity versus debt or other stuff, and even in equity, what kind of profiles you want. However, it is important to have investments locked in, a corpus locked in. Ideally, especially for someone like me who's quite impetuous, spontaneous, I'll suddenly see a piece of land which is completely surrounded by, I said, let's buy it without any thought on whether that's going to be any kind of an investment or not. It's just, it's good to have some amount of money which you can't touch, and that helps you in good stead later. I mean, for example, even personally in my life, because of COVID, travel tech startup in which on which I'd worked on, put in a lot of, bootstrapped it to a large extent, etc. Just when it was on the verge of success, it turned out, it kind of collapsed. So it's good that you have some, nest eggs, whatever, that you can follow, because things don't always, work according to plan. I think over a period of time, as I started staying here, you understand a lot more about the nuances of, the ecosystem here and the society. And while what drove me here, and I love animals, I genuinely say that I may relate more to my dogs than to most humans or something. But still, and so I came. Wildlife is what brought me here. But over a period of time, you understand that wildlife you cannot, and conservation you cannot see in isolation. It goes hand in hand with the communities that are impacted by it, who are living in that ecosystem. They are the most fragile. They are the most vulnerable. You have to try to make sure that things coexist in harmony. There is a perception that as an outsider, as a non-Uttarakhandi or something, you may not be welcome. You will never be a part of the community. You will always be looked on as an outsider, etc. Touchwood, around here, that's something which, especially over the years, is not the case at all. I think we're very integrated as a part of the community. In fact, the funny thing is that one is already over, but over the next 1 week, so in a period of 10 days, I have 4 wedding invitations here. I think today we're very integrated in the community, even with the forest department. Whenever any villager needs any help, someone's ill, our cargoes takes them to Ramnagar, etc. All our staff is local. Any work here, anytime we get any construction work done, anything, it really often compromises maybe on the quality, because the level of expertise is not there which I could get by getting someone else. But all work is, we give only to our locals. Second is, we do a lot of, we try to do waste management, not just for ourselves, for the nearby villages. We provide them dustbins, this, that. What we do is we collect the waste, we take it down once in a month down to an NGO below. So we try to do stuff like that. On the education and primary healthcare bits, we have this local school here. Every now and then we do stuff for the kids, in terms of giving them supplies, materials, all that. We would love to do more of it, but it's a government school, so there's not, we can't just get into it like that. Anytime they have luggage, someone is ill, etc., we provide them fair amount of support, and of course financial support here and there, keeps happening. So sometimes I think about, myself having come here. If I'd stuck on in a normal corporate career, etc., unless I really messed up, you would, I mean, you'd be a Asia Pacific CEO or a global something or whatever, etc., all that. And I sometimes think that, if I've come and live here, is there something I mean, there should still be something that I leave behind. And that doesn't have to be a CEO of a company employing 5,000 people or something like that. It can even be just making a positive impact to the people and the area around you. I mean, over the years, especially, we've reforested this place more and more. Over the years, I would like to expand it even more, that it becomes a sizable extension of the forest, which is almost a haven. So today we have more bird life, to a certain extent, more wildlife inside and around than other parts of the jungle, because we've grown the trees, there's more stuff for them. So that's what I would love to do. I mean, in your own way, you contribute, make a tangible difference to wildlife conservation and tiger conservation. Give back something to Corbett, which I love and I think has given me so much. And at the same time, I feel, like I said, all the communities around here, over a period of time, I really want to do more, take bigger steps in terms of, especially in education and both primary education and primary healthcare. I would like to make a difference to to the people living here. So those are, I think, if even for even a limited circle around here later, say that yeah, this person, helped us in so many ways and contributed to the area betterment in some ways, I think I'll be quite happy.